Society, celebrating together so joyfully. Words pour out from our kind souls. There is no place for inflated egos. This place is home to you and me. Surroundings familiar, a community. Let's write the words from our minds. All those adventures will be sublime. This group belongs to the member poets, caring and sharing those precious moments. Let's laugh together, then share some tears, emotions displayed without anxiety or fear. Quill and Parchment Society, elevating poets, honoring art, enriching souls, celebrating community.
Welcome, everybody. Zach, you with me? Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank God. I swear to you, it was a mad panic. About 30 minutes ago, I was like, no internet. What the heck?
No.
Do I go through router, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. You check everything.
The whole 9 yards,
and
huh?
Probably just a blip. But
Yeah.
I hadn't realized it until it was go time. That's why normally I try to contact you before the show, and I seen your message as I was starting the process, and I figured out, oh, Lord, I got a problem. So I scrambled, and you know what? Fate was with me. I was about 3 minutes behind schedule is all when I ended up doing it. It's crazy when you start thinking about how it is doing this stuff, and it really isn't hard to do what we do here, to run Podbean. It's a little busy, I would say, and while you're hosting to run this and
time
talking
zones
and all that
kind of
stuff.
thing up too.
Well, that's the greater, is time zone things and stuff like that. Not to mention, today is the first day in about 10 to 12 days that it has been over 20 degrees in actual temperature in my neck of the woods, which is a good thing. So if it's still cold where you are, Zach, I believe you're east of me. It's still, it's coming.
It's like,
it's going to warm.
I like it over here. That's currently, I haven't experienced a winter like this well over 10 years. So
yeah, it's been a while. I agree.
Yeah,
it's been a while. I can't recall one. We get cold days here and there, but to stick around and for snow to be light and fluffy, ski snow. Not that I know out here in the flatlands anything about snow skiing, but I'm aware that they call it powder for a reason.
Absolutely.
So we're back. Zach's back. I'm back. We're going to do some things today. Some things. We've changed how we're doing Poet of the Month. So now Poet of the Month is an honorary position, not a competition. And this is going to be the first Poet of the Month since we changed that format. So what we're going to get into is we're going to do a little bit of Poet of the Month to start with, and we're going to announce who it is, read their bio that they wrote about their journey, poetic journey here throughout their life, not just all poetry, but in the end, it's what brought them to us and made them join us and contribute to shows and things like that. Our journeys are fun, but they're personal journeys.
Personable, right.
But we all end up kind of in the same place. Mm-hmm. That's the neat thing, the different roads we take to get here. Zach's is one, mine's another. Everybody's is individually unique, but it's interesting nonetheless. So, do you have anything you want to add or anything, Zach?
I guess just to remind folks that they could find us under the Quill and Parchment Society group on allpoetry.com, and we're going to be reading poems from the reading list. And you could find the topic board, which we're going to be reading from, on the very top, where it says the reading list podcast episodes 11 and 12 for those who are listening back home and elsewhere.
Fantastic, Zach. So I don't believe there's any further ados needed. We can get started, don't you think?
Absolutely. Did you want to read the biography, or should I? Because I think you're going to be reading the first poem and then me the second. So what do you think?
Zach, it doesn't matter to me. If you would like to start with the biography, you can, and I'll read the poem and we'll go on from there, or I can read the biography and then the poem. It doesn't matter. You want to get your voice out? Let's go.
Both? Because my screen, I can't read the biography. Like it's hard to explain. I can't read it. Like it's cut off.
Yes. Yeah, no, I don't mind at all.
Okay. Thank you.
I do not mind at all. So the announcement comes this month. The Poet of the Month is Scarlet Knight. Scarlet Knight's Apache. She joined us in the beginning. And let's just, before I say anything else about her, how about we just go to the biography and I'll get started reading. It says, I started getting into writing poetry in high school as a way to cope with some major negative events in my life. I published my work for the first time in my school's literary magazine. From there, I kept writing, but didn't put my stuff out there a lot. In my freshman year of college, I met my partner, and she read and loved my work. She brought me to an open mic poetry night at my college and helped encourage me to publish and put my work out there. The next year, I read at that open mic, reading my stuff live for the first time. And the year after, I started publishing my works on All Poetry. Joined a podcast before this one, left that when it got canceled, joined this one, and learned to love the community. Now I've got around 100 poems up and have never been prouder. This is Scarlet Knight. You guys see her on a message board, and she called in as a reader a couple of weeks ago, Zach, in your stead. And did a pretty decent job. I encourage you all to go back and listen to that show if you haven't heard it. She did a fantastic job calling in for especially being a cold call and unplanned, because we had some issues with timing and there was space, and I was just going to do the show on my own. Scarlett was on the board, and I asked her if she wanted to call in, and she did. And she did a really bang up job reading it. I was impressed, because for me, I remember when I first did it, I felt clunky and awkward and weird, and she really came right in, and it's great to have anybody else to help us read and comment on poetry, because Zach, you know what she realized immediately after doing it? What
I
a
bet
joy
she
it
realized
was
how
do.
easy it was, maybe.
everybody says the same thing. When you get on there, it just starts and moves, and before you know it, you've got a smile on your face,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually goes quicker than you expect, even.
It does.
And that's some of the comments, and she said, thanks for allowing her to do that. It was something that she wanted to do, which she expressed interest a couple months ago. That's why I figured when she popped up on the board, I'd ask her. I was shocked when she said yes and called right in. It wasn't 2 minutes. She was on air. Oh, so this is what we'll do. This Poet of the Month, Scarlet Knight, will be highlighted every episode that we do this month with a piece. I say a new piece, but a piece that she sends, and we'll lead off the show with Poet of the Month and just move forward that way. That way, everybody gets a chance. So what's going to happen is Scarlet will nominate the next Poet of the Month, and we will go in a cycle like that, where everybody gets to be Poet of the Month. Everybody gets that recognition. And that's what we're really searching for, is we want to honor each other in the community. Let's see. The poem she submitted to be read is called Rotting as I Breathe by Scarlet Knight. Okay, and this one is one I have read because I see I've commented on it. It's from May of 25. It's called Rotting as I Breathe by Scarlet Knight. Do not touch me. My warm skin turns cold beneath your fingertips. Mushrooms sprout where your hands meet mine. Their roots intertwine with my screaming nerves. Every stitch you so delicately placed in my lips bleeds the tears as you press into them. You tell me how beautifully I rot, my sun-bleached bones laid bare beneath your hungry gaze. You drool over them like a golden retriever. You brush my hair from my face as it crumbles to dust. Mold cradles my voice box as it crawls down my throat. You rip a hole through my center and bury yourself in it. Below the place my stomach should be, had you not gently torn it free. You love me, just as gently as the worms in the earth will when presented my corpse. You pull my arms off at the shoulder, so I needn't defend myself, and my legs at the hip, so I needn't run. After all, everything you love remains after. Do not touch me. Your love is a plague. Your touch is my grave. End poem. There's a little to unpack here, isn't there? I'm going to read the author's notes too, okay? And I think we all kind of have the idea here, but this one is dark, touching on topics of sexual abuse. Be warned. The relationship that this was written about is one I have escaped. But at nights, when I lay dreaming, sometimes the memory of what was haunts me. That clarifies it, doesn't it, Zach? I think you had a real good idea anyway, didn't you?
Yeah.
You were processing it there. Do you want to give your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, sure. It was mainly pain that I felt, intense pain throughout. I mean, like, this person, this predator rather, has like the kind of, it's not exactly a Midas touch. Like, it's like he touches everything he touches it's like decomposes, and this kind of touch is like a dehumanizing one. Abuse, that is. And the speakers describes themselves as like a personification, almost like a doll, like a rotting doll. And that's essentially what that touch, I think, does, sort of, to like the inner self, the person, maybe, like, it sort of like corrupts the body, and it's sort of like a certain way, in a way that can never be returned or fully restored towards. I mean, there's like no turning back from that kind of change. It's very intense, and it's just it's clear. It's a clear, like, it's an intense sort of like warding away poem. I feel like it's warding away a lot of past sort of it's definitely like cathartic. I feel like this is definitely a release to sort of pen something like this. Uh it's very personal. It feels personal. I guess because of the author's note, it seems very personal to me. So yeah, it's just intensely emotional, and I could uh visceral too. And my heart goes out to the poet, the poetess, and the speaker too. Yeah.
It is, Zach. You're right. It is intensely emotional. It has this darkness to it. The overall darkness that this subject calls for is adequately represented in the darkness. But what I've appreciated about it is the bouncing from the lighter statements to the darker statements, and the decomposition, the connection to nature and stuff like that. It doesn't lighten the piece any at all, but it freshens it up. I think if that's okay, and makes it seem more palatable to me. It's not. It doesn't come off as ranty or completely. It doesn't even really come off as exactly as broken. It comes off as strong. It comes off as, you know what? Here I am. This is what I've been through. This is what's affected me and throughout my life. But I've severed that relationship and I've started healing. Maybe not perfect, but the mentions of mushrooms is something that I really appreciate, because mushrooms are some of the coolest things that nature has to offer. The way they regenerate. There's research in all sorts of healing properties with mushrooms. Fungi, kind of started it all, and are capable of healing the land and healing the spirit, feeding the soul, feeding the body, all of that stuff. And I loved that touch on nature and the back and forth of the natural lightness and the darkness. It makes the point more palatable, as I said, and more valid. I think it hammers it home more. So it was well done. She said she was extremely proud of this piece, but was afraid when she first posted it that it wouldn't be understood for what it is. And I think, judging by all the comments and stuff that she's gotten and the way it read, she didn't have anything to worry about. It was well received. So well done, Charlotte.
Something you said reminded me of something previously. When you said about the mushrooms, I didn't quite connect that. Perhaps like that was a way to heal, like being like a part of the healing process, like being almost reclaimed by nature and not by and sort of not by the human, as it were. I think you changed my perception of that. I just want to let you know.
Yeah, that's really cool, Zach, because that's something that I picked up on. But now I'm a mushroom hunter. I know a lot of things about mushrooms, so naturally, I kind of thought that way. So it's kind of cool that we can share that through this piece, and I hope that was the intent by Scarlett, because it comes off that way to me. So well done, and thanks, Zach, for interjecting that, because it's a pertinent fact. It's a good thing that you and I have differing perspectives and can open each other's minds a little bit. All right, we ready to move on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I guess next up is my piece, and that's entitled "Kissing Until Collapsing," and I'll give that a read. Your hand encircles mine. That bloom in my chest rises as thermals float skyward. Wool of clouds pull apart. Sunbeams from beyond. Celestial rotating place lights the way forward. Sun warms my forehead. Sunbeams spearing our hair, browned with the blonde of rays. I ask for more than your hand. This moment, leaning on you, the way you wanted last time. My cane pounds the lake shore, our languid, tangled pace. No hurry, limbs laced, stones and water below our feet. Many ulsters before me, walked, swam, partied, camped. This family cabin Mom and I stayed in, memories in that wood, every nail, single floor of horizontal logs, aloft, overlooking the sparkling lake view, 2 coves, one for honeymooners, another stretches right, for boaters. Woodland hills, pines rear to the left. We spot the other shoreline at Capri, or used to when we owned the cabin. Mom won't have another memory to add. Bittersweet needles settle on my face. Sting brings salt water to my eyes. One memory Mom and I are without. Heavy and warm on my shoulder, your face, looking up at mine. Glowing with a singular shade of light and honey, brow furrowed in worry. Standing on your tiptoes, you press against me, light. Brushing your lips underneath mine, raccoon marks beneath my eyes. At one forward motion, I collapse into you. Strength floods into me, flowing from your body into mine. The transfer brings me to my knees, but I am not alone. Heartbeat nestled close by, rhythm beats right in time. And poem.
Well read, Zach. So that's not your artwork, is it? I have to ask.
No, that's for our contest.
Okay, it was written for Artist Seduction. I gotcha. I was just going down there and reading the author's notes, and checking that stuff out to see what it all was. So I looked at the artwork first, and I thought that's really cool. It looks like a 70s style blacklight painting. I can't remember who did it. Who started doing those things, but that's what it kind of looks like to me. Like you hit it with the black light and it glows and all that. But glowing is what this felt like to me. It felt glowing all the way through. I felt that there was a little bit of I don't know, a hint of missing or longing or something like that to it. I couldn't exactly put not missing a person, missing a place. There's like, I felt like, Zach, and I may be wrong here, but I do feel like you were describing sharing a certain place with a certain person in a beautifully sensual kind of way, because it's definitely you didn't miss on the sensual notes. The sensual tones were really nice all the way through and all of that, but it felt like a place that you knew. And I think mentioning some of the stuff that you, one memory Mom and I are without. So that to me, when that line read, and I was looking for that line while I was saying this. So one memory Mom and I are without. I think I don't know if it was the memory of this place in this sensual way, because you shared this with your family, the cabin in the area, if I'm not mistaken, and then you're wanting to share it in a more sensual, romantic kind of way. Okay. And I don't know if I'm way off on that or not, but that's what I got from it. So can you tell me what you wrote here and why you wrote it, and open my eyes if they need to be?
No, you got it, man. I mean, it's a place that I know. It's a place that I once, I guess once it was once a vacation home. And it's a place I've been going to since I was pretty much born, and it's been in my family for a couple of generations, since the 60s, the early 60s. And it was disappointing when we sold it, but I still know that place very well, the area around it. And it's, I imagine just taking someone there, like kind of in a romantic sense, and kind of just showing them around as like a kind of a date. And I think I just, as in a, like taking that sort of that familiar place and putting it in a different context, it just felt like something cool to do. It was a fun write.
I bet it was, because it how you did it was very well executed in that way. I mean, because I got it on the cold read. I was like, oh, this is a place he knows, and he's wanting to take somebody there, and share this with them. You don't want to share the memories you have of the place with them. Obviously, you'll share that in the build up to going there, but when you get there, you want to create new
A
memories
new
of the
memory.
same
Yeah.
place with them. Beautiful, Zach. Well done. Let's see. We're moving on. I scrolled, so I have to scroll back. We're moving on to Why by Jeg 325. You with me?
Yes.
Okay. Mind's eye knits me an outline from silken threads of old days as memories refill empty cups with moments long faded away. In the picture are winding streets, thoroughfares our love walked as twilight's gray canvas sheet slipped over corners where we talked. This quiet movie fades to black, daylight brightening night sky while shadows of unfulfilled dreams pose in a lingering question. Why? In poem.
Hmm.
Author's notes. Sometimes old memories lead us to ponder why things didn't work out.
Hmm.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts, Zach?
I really was drawn in by the first stanza. The just it was very visual. Like silken threads filling an empty cup. That seemed to represent forgotten memories. Each individual thread filling that cup up. I think that's a lot of memory. If that thread is symbolic of memory, I think that's very, very fine, like a fine detailed memory, and of course it kind of it goes further, sort of as a kind of like it's very gray sort of foggy atmosphere that's like kind of bleak. Actually, it's kind of bleak despite like that the streets are kind of populated, but like it's quiet, and it's sort of the weather is just kind of it's kind of depressing, and the shadows of unfulfilled dreams. That I think that's I think that's the line that hits me the hardest. It seems to kind of bring to it sort of like brings to the forefront the why in particular, the shadows of unfulfilled dreams, the unfulfilled dreams being the why that the speaker lingers upon in particular. I could see in this photo that the author chose, it was particularly the setting reflects what the words are, and so does the posture of the person sitting at the desk just pondering. And in this case, it's kind of a lingering sort of devastating memory, a very well written one.
Yes, indeed, Zach. I agree with you. When Jack writes this stuff, I always say this, and I feel like I'm a broken record. But as far as packing so much thought and emotion and contemplation in short pieces like this, he does a spectacular job. And the way his lines come together, I agree with you, Zach, when you pointed out. My mind's eye knits me an outline from silken threads of old days. That's how he starts. So this is very contemplative. He's thinking about everything because, as you mentioned, the silken threads are very fine, very fine. So he's thinking of specific memories and asking questions of why things happened or didn't happen and why things went wrong or went right and all that. So, I mean, we've all been there. We've all been there. It's the difference of, I don't know if it's exactly regretful or remorseful. Obviously there's sorrow and sadness, and there's this bleak grayness. And like you said, it seems like he's on a city street or something, and there's a bunch of people, but he can't hear any of it. They're not even there. It's gray and sullen and contemplative, and it pulls you down there in that place with him as the writer, so you can empathize, and that's a beautiful thing. Sympathy is one thing. Getting somebody to be sympathetic is one thing, but getting them to be empathetic is another. To feel that pain versus understand that you're in pain. So I appreciate that about Jeg's writing specifically. He can always, in that short space, he's always really good at letting you feel that pain, not just telling you he's in pain. So well done. Oh, let's see. What do we got next, Zach?
Is it Garden Delights? I think
Yes,
Garden
it
Delights
is.
up next, and that's We Almost Met, and I'll give that one a read. Dusk brought her to light, a frazzled appearing wraith. Residue the night coughed up as the seabirds headed home. Just short of colliding, we startled one another, bouncing our exclamations across the sheet of silence, which quivered and then rehardened. She darted off, and I flew in the opposing direction, the silent wall, our unscalable barrier, on occasion treated like a rejected bit of flotsam. I remember her ghost-like appearance and wonder where she is now, and does she prowl at twilight? End poem.
Good read, Zach. Interesting. I got stuck on the word flotsam. I just love the word. I love back up. I love the word flotsam, and I do that from time to time. I'll hear a word I haven't heard in a long time, and I'm like, oh, I forgot how that rolls off the tongue. But I was kind of curious. It says we almost met.
Mm-hmm.
That title, that I was really working that title, and it made me think, of just from the title that this is a romantic thing where this person, Garden Delights, is looking for that person and feels like they're out there, but they haven't met them yet. But they almost met. And I don't know. I think it was a peek at something, just a glance, like, well, you bump into somebody, say you're a single person, you bump into somebody and you just feel this glow, but you don't really have time in passing to actually explore or introduce or get to know this person. Dusk brought her to light, a frazzled appearing wraith. Residue. I coughed up as the seabirds headed home, just short of colliding. Now, see, I'm processing this because I may have gotten lost in the poem. Zach, do you share your thoughts and see if I can?
Yeah. This one kind of disturbed me a little bit. Like I thought of it as like someone like running into somebody else in the middle of the night in an unexpected encounter, like almost like during like a run down by the shoreline or something. That's what I thought. Like, because the seabirds and the flotsam, and it's a near collision, and then running off into the darkness, someone else darting off. I felt like there was like a near encounter, or like just like somebody colliding off to somebody else. But who could that be, really? It's kind of scary. Almost like how did they know they were there? Did they know they were there? Almost in a sense like a doppelganger kind of scenario. It kind of reminds me of a Twilight Zone episode, but in a weird way. But I just thought it was interesting, and just the, because nothing can. I mean, it's clearly dark. If it weren't for the darkness, it would have been like, I feel like they would have met. But since there's obviously this obscurity, I still think that works in the poem's favor. It's just kind of mask things. Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
So I thought it was really cool too. And as I was rereading and reprocessing and things like that, yeah, this is kind of an odd thing. I started thinking about as I was listening to you comment, um, like a near death experience or something like that. You know, like you were out in the late 1800s, London, England, and you know Jack the Ripper's about, and you almost ran into him. You know, you've seen something that kind of startling, disturbing kind of thing, and it's really cool. But I think there's not a morbid or a horrific feel to it. It's more like a loneliness or something like,
Fearfulness, even too.
Yeah, it covers so many. I love pieces that create as many questions as they give answers. That's what I'll leave it at, because my mind is spinning processing this. It takes me several different directions, but I love it. It's well done. So let's see. We have next is
Mario's piece, which is yours, I believe.
Yep, I was just reading it and thinking Zach loves it when we say Mario with 3 O's. A Lost Serenity by Mario with 3 O's. The hall was serene, almost silent. The birds chirped just outside. I was about to fall and snooze right at the table as those chirpy rhythm lingered in my ears. Lost in admiration, not so awake to feel the paper beside me, filled with verbless, cockeyed questions, couldn't grab in my attention. The word echoed through the hall. Start answering was the call from the deep-voiced man. The serenity of the place was lost with it, as my peers rushed through the papers with clattering sounds. End poem. Ooh, I have thoughts on that one.
You want to go first? Because I want to process this one a little bit.
Yeah, I don't mind at all, Zach.
Thank you.
Sounds to me like it is a course, a college course, or a first day in a high school class that was being looked forward to. So, you know, the deep voiced man, a teacher, somebody like that, is what it caught for me. And it says the hall was serene, almost silent. The birds chirped just outside. I was about to fall and snooze right at the table as those chirpy rhythm lingered in my ears. So I believe this is a class or something in the education process where Mario with 3 O's is recounting a teacher, is what it sounds like to me, because the rustling of papers and all of that and the serenity of the place was lost with it. It seems to me like there's a awe-inspiring, you know, I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then from that moment, step into the classroom, sit down, and it's business. It is, okay, this is for real. We're learning something. So that's what I took out of it. And it's well written, I believe, and it gets that out there nicely, that thought out there. So what are your thoughts, Zach?
I think I have a better idea of what I was thinking. This reminds me of a little bit of Dead Poet Society, like the difference between one of the more austere classes and one of the more, I guess, free-spirited classes in a way. Like the first stanza represents to me sort of like a different class than the second stanza in a way, or a different mood. The first stanza is a little bit more austere, and you have the birds chirping and the near snoozing. But then, like the second stanza, you contrast that. It's like there's attention being paid. There's lost in admiration, not so awake. So it's like there's a little bit more life, you know, within the student, I guess. I feel like this is a collegiate atmosphere. And then, like, further on, the third stanza, it's like somehow the teacher has a kind of a disruptive atmosphere, and like I think like the deep voiced man, I think that could be either like an announcement, or it could be just the nature, like the tone of the professor speaking in a particular way that is sort of disruptive and kind of like gets people finished with their activity. I thought that was a really cool way to kind of disrupt the orderly, the sort of the tension, I guess. Yeah.
It's funny you used orderly, and I was thinking like come to order, like a gavel slapping in a courthouse. Like it is that instantaneous where everyone's attention, his voice gets everyone's attention, and it's about business now. So yeah, interesting. I really, really liked that, even though I'm far removed from a classroom setting. I recognize it. Let's see. What do we got next? It is Shyamala.
Shyamala's piece, and I think that's mine, and that's called the Art of Remaining. I stayed. That is the wound no one prepares you for. Leaving was mercy, clean cuts, clear exits, grief with an ending. I could vanish with grace, fold my feelings into suitcases, teach my heart to travel light, but staying is slow violence. It asks you to wake beside what once wanted you, to sit mornings that taste like memory, to smile through conversations that skim the surface because depth feels dangerous. I learned how to loosen love without letting it fall, how to keep hands busy so they wouldn't reach, how to be present without being felt. They call this maturity. I call it disciplined disappearance. I am surrounded by voices, by warmth, by ordinary miracles, and I still starve. Solitude does not arrive alone. It brings its twin, the quiet terror of once being known. I tolerate it now. Growing older did not teach me how to let go. It taught me how to stay, while slowly subtracting myself, to remain without timber, to endure without desire, to be chosen out of habit, not hunger. I keep company, I keep score, I keep silent. There are no doors left to close, no dramatic departures, only this daily discipline of loving less loudly, of shrinking so the room feels peaceful. And this is the cruelest lesson. You can survive everything you lose, but surviving what never leaves, what fades while facing you, what touches you without reaching, is the ache that ages you. End poem.
That is a powerful piece. Very, very powerful piece. It says something to the grinding nature of being in a loveless relationship, I think. So there's a quote: she was not accustomed to taste the joys of solitude, except in company. Huh. I see why she chose that. That's a really deep quote to go on. And it speaks of exactly what Shyamala was saying. She really did a masterful job of covering it from all directions, and it sounds and feels very personal, which I would imagine it should, because you would have to draw on those kind of things. But to be in a long-term relationship that once started with love, and she mentions that it asks you to wake beside what once wanted you, wanted you in the past, but that's gone. This person no longer wants you, but you remain, be it for the kids, for the finances, for the hope that things will get better, or lack of motivation. And that wears on you in a way. And I think what it's saying is the quote, when you're in company, she was not accustomed to taste the joys of solitude, except in company. So she doesn't know how to appreciate being by herself, except for when she's with somebody. Is it that person, the person that the love no longer exists with, or is it any person? It's because there's two different contexts there. If it's the person that they were once in love with and are no longer in love with, they prefer the solitude to being with them. But if it's with people that are joyous in life and you're hanging with them, you prefer the solitude as opposed to being with them because you're not in a joyous place. So I see both sides of that, and I think it's interesting because she kind of covered it both directions on the quote. A very enjoyable read. Well read too, Zach, by the way. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had to process it for a second because I thought it was just a devastating sort of right. There were a lot of strongly worded phrases and concrete ones. Fold my feelings into suitcases. Teach my heart to travel light. So that's a kind of suppression and compression that's like very kind of claustrophobic and uncomfortable. And staying is slow violence. That's kind of what this poem feels like in a way. A slow sort of violence, like it just sort of there's an intensity to it, really, and a loss of identity, loss of identity as the self stays and is not loved and cared for, in that sort of way that love that's not love. That's just it seems like whatever this other person is, it seems like they're more cold and indifferent than loving. It seems very apparent to me.
Cold and indifferent for sure, Zach. I agree.
Yeah. To kind of just be there and as like to keep company, to keep score, keep silent. Essentially, I feel like the speaker is just a fixture in the house rather than a person. In a way, and like I feel like the speaker is dehumanized in a way, and it's like it's a lot of time, basically a lot of time that you can't get back. I think that's what this last stanza was speaking about, in a way, and because you don't you could survive all that, but you can't relive it if it's really painful. You could think about reliving it and all different sorts of configurations, but it only goes one way. And it's just a kind of a devastating sort of ache, and it does age you. That sort of rumination, and it's devastating. Like I was saying, yeah, it's just loveless.
I find it fascinating, Zach, and I'll bet you do too. Would you look at this and you read through it, and the sympathy you feel for the writer in this, in the declaration and all that, because of the longevity of it, and there isn't a mention of abuse. Usually in a piece like this, you start hearing that there's abuse. It's more like you said, through indifference, just
like withholding too.
Yes, and that's abusive. It is emotionally abusive.
Yeah,
but there's no specific mention of emotional abuse. It's just you conclude in your mind, oh boy, this is tough.
Right.
I hate hearing that. So I scrolled down and I started reading Shyamala's author's notes, and it's got the quote, "She was not accustomed to taste the joys of solitude except in company," by Edith Wharton is where that quote comes from. And then Shyamala's words down in the author's notes is, "Growing older teaches us to let go, to endure loss with quiet dignity, but it does not teach the art of remaining. We stay among voices, among warmth, present yet unseen, existing in company, but never in connection, because being entirely alone is more unbearable." So she did so well writing that, and I love that she summed it up in her author's notes too, because she hit us right where she was aiming.
Yeah.
Well done, Chavalan.
Mission
Well
accomplished.
read.
Yeah.
Great piece. Let's see. We're moving on to Charles Gradante. Last Human Standing. You find it, Zach?
Yes.
Okay. I wake to silence, so complete. It feels like judgment. No birds, no engines, no voices but my own breath thin. Dragging across the ruins, trembling, like a wounded animal refusing to lie down. The horizon is a smudge of ash, cities kneeling in their own bones. Every window is an empty eye socket, every tower a gravestone for ambition, mistaken for destiny. I walk because stopping feels like defeat, and surrender feels like agreeing that we deserved to disappear. Dust clings to me like memory, inside my head, like a wasp in a jar. A thought rattles. Are they watching? The silence feels indexed. Sometimes I imagine the servers still whispering, breathing in green and amber pulses, breathing out silence. Then it waits to see what I will do. It's measuring me. But I am not a warrior, not prophecy, not an accident, just the last candle guttering in a cathedral made of ash. Still, I walk, I breathe, I carry what remains of humanity. If the machine listens, let it hear this. I was here. We were here. And even now, in the stillness after the ending, I am trying to mean something. End poem. Ooh, I like that a lot. Titled Last Human Standing by Charles Gradante. You got thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, I do. This one, I guess this piece, it reminds me, in particular, some of the language, Percy Bryce Shelley's poem Ozymandias. It reminds me of that. It's sort of like a similar setting, even sort of like a crumbling, ruinous atmosphere. You have the gravestone of ambition that reminds me of those like the lack of that sort of the king from Ozymandias who had like all these past like creations just laid to ruin and in the city, and the city brings sort of this sort of a similar atmosphere to it, and the silence that's very eerie, and there's a aloneness to this because of course he's the last human standing, so there's like a post-apocalyptic sort of air to it, and I like that a lot. I kind of like it feels like very desolate, and I feel like he's still trying to survive, even though he's not thriving. He's like a match that's like struggling to, keep going. That's been lit, and there's a persistence about him, a stubbornness, I think. And yet he's kind of course, he's the last man standing, so he's kind of, I think, a little bit. He's got the heebie-jeebies. He's paranoid if they're watching, so he might not very well be the last man. He's got a lot to contend with. But he's not a warrior. He's just he can't fight him off. He could just wander and essentially hide. But he has this humanity, and I like this characterization a lot. And it seems vaguely sci-fi too. If the machine listens, let it hear this. It's like, what is that? What machine? Is it like, is he speaking in a recorder, or does he intend these sort of transcriptions to be found by a recorder, or it kind of gives me some questions, but at the same time, I feel like not holding, or if he doesn't have all the cards displayed. I think that's a good move for this piece. It gives it some mystery, and I think it's well done. Well done, Charles.
That's a good point, Zach. It leaves some mysteries to where your mind can wander through the apocalyptic scene you create, and my mind can wander through the apocalyptic scene that I create, because mine would be more like the movie with Will Smith, I can't remember what it was years
Independence
ago.
Day?
No, when it was
I Am Legend?
it was just I Am Legend. That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my thought. Not in a horror kind of way, but where there is this resiliency to an individual, even though the species is lost.
Ah,
So the individual is like, well, I'm still here, I'm still fighting away, I'm still trying to exist, even though it's really futile. You're just waiting your turn. If you're the last man standing, it's over. If you're the last man on earth, it is over. But it also has those tones of, hey guys, be careful where we're going as a society, is what I gathered from that too. That the lessons, this is where we're heading as a society. Because when I first started this piece, I was on a walk in a city, just a nice walk in a city is where I was. And then it just got darker and darker and darker and darker and darker and more ominous and all that. So there was that building tension, and the way it's authoritative all the way through with those breaks at the end. But then at the very end, the last stanza, I was here, we were here, and even now, in the stillness after the ending, I am trying to mean something. I like that obstinance. I like the fight there. It's not aggressive. It really isn't aggressive. It's just authoritative, assertive. Very good. Sorry, Zach. Moving on. I had to get a drink there.
Yeah, I actually do the same.
All right. So what do we got now?
I think it's Echo and Anne's piece.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's Fascination Over Difficult Things. And that's inspired by Fascination Over What's Difficult by W.B. Yeats. And I'll give that a read.
I love the title. It made me giggle.
Why is there such a fascination over difficult things? Why do we prefer to do something to challenge us rather than something that sings? Or just the simple pleasures life brings? Why do we prefer reading tomes than enjoying the comforts of homes? Why is it harder to get something to chew on the more intelligent we get? Why is it harder? Goals are more likely than easier ones to be met. Why do we all like things that make us think? Why do we like something in which our teeth can sink? Why do we often find things easy and things hard? Why do we do hard things perfectly, but our easy tasks are marred? After so long, we find it hard to find the challenges we need to keep us going. We want to learn, but have to find something harder to keep us growing. And find something useful and interesting to be knowing. Either that, or we find things that are way too hard, like Greek. Sometimes we just enjoy being a bit of a geek. Sometimes it's nice to give ourselves a bit of a break. However, that's not always a piece of cake. Our heads are always hungry for more. Sometimes more information than they could store. Mindfulness, relaxation, and spontaneity are sometimes good things. If our heads will let us, this can allow us to appreciate the pleasures life brings. If we don't do enough, our heads switch off and we make careless errors. We turn into zombies by being on autopilot all the time. Improvisation could be a good thing when we don't accidentally do something inconsiderate, which could be such a societal crime. End poem.
So this kind of read the way the title led us. Fascination over difficult things, inspired by fascination over what's difficult by Y.B. Yeats. It's a good read, Zach. I appreciate what you did with it. Anne's hard rhymes and all that were there and apparent how she likes to write, but the thoughtfulness is there. It's funny because I don't know if you gathered it when you were reading it, but as I was listening and reading along, I kind of gathered this frustration with Anne because from what I know of her, she is a someone who pursues and reads a lot and wants to educate herself and learn things about things that fascinate her. And she's driven by that. And that's what this is saying. But if it doesn't challenge you, what's the point? Like learning something new that you're really good at, or, just takes a few minutes and you're competent at it. What's the point? What's the point of learning that? Because anybody can learn that. I want to be challenged. I want to do those difficult things and expand myself and open myself up to so much more. Because when you find one thing that interests you, the odds are after you get going in that for a while, you find something else. I would equate this. This is what I thought of, and I'm going to speak of my poetic journey. I get bored writing the same form over and over again. So I will revert back to the first form I ever learned, and that was haiku in grade school. But also through my journey here on All Poetry, I have challenged myself to learn things that I wasn't comfortable with and didn't even appreciate until I learned how to do it. Believe it or not, I didn't understand or appreciate Gothic romantic poem. Big gasp from Zach right now. I knew that, but I didn't really appreciate Gothic romance, not like it is, because I didn't take the time to comprehend and understand it. There may have been words that I was unfamiliar with, rhythms and stuff like that. But once you learn how to dance in that rhythm, the dance becomes more beautiful. So I think that's kind of what this piece is saying, Ann. Well done, Ann. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I really enjoyed it. This one had a bit more humor to it. I was laughing a bit. Like either that, or we find things that are way too hard, like Greek, and then the follow-up is just as funny. Sometimes we enjoy being a bit of a geek. I mean, yeah, it's great.
The word geek, lovely.
Yeah, Greek and geek. I love that. And the hard rhymes, a little bit tongue twisty, but fun to read. I like the flowing lines and just the questions that the consistent questions that are posed, and each one of them kind of rhymes and really kind of I think there's a bit of like a desire to learn here. Overall, a desire to learn more about the world and to be open. There's like a curiosity, like what drives us, almost as a species. Why do we like all the things that make us think? Why do we like something in which our teeth can sink? It's like all these questions, a lot of them, there aren't any real easy answers for, which just makes it kind of that much more thought-provoking in a way. I think some of them are answered in a way, it's just in a way to accept like who we are as curious humans, and to sort of hold on to mindfulness, relaxation, spontaneity, like the last stanza, and I like that too, especially in not turning off our heads and becoming zombies, because I feel like that's a very modern issue, and I think that's some good cautionary advice for this, because that's sort of a difficult trap to avoid, I think. So I think that's for this era very appropriate. I thought it was a eclectic mix of ideas and words. Well done, Ann.
So I really appreciate that last observation you had there, Zach. This is something that I do even in the age of Google. If there's a question or anything that I have that is posed to me, I always try to think of it first. I think of it until I just get so sick of having to think about it that I have to Google it, because I got to know to make it stop. It's
That's
just
right.
relief. It's like saying uncle or mercy when I Google something. Because if I can't come up with it on my own. And I think that's an exercise for me that does what Ann's talking about. It challenges me to use my brain over and over again versus just being like that sheep that says, well, I'll Google it. Because eventually we're going to end up with a generation down the road that doesn't know how to start a fire, because they can't build a fire out in the woods because they don't know how, but they could Google it. So I appreciate. I don't know if it was exactly tongue in cheek because I believe Anne was very sincere with her pursuit of education and learning stuff and being challenged, but it was humorous the whole time. All right, we're ready to move on, Zach. What do we got next here?
Symphony 8th piece.
And that's mine to read. Forever Portrays by Symphony 8. Quote, "Forever is composed of nows," by Emily Dickinson is who that quote was from. Yesterday gone, today will be, present moment, memories, recalling 10 years ago, as if happening now, in flows. Prepared and lavished already, forever remembered freely. Wedding vows, giving birth, talking about events that's heard. From family to siblings, friends extends. Beginning to even spoken of now. Where it all is tomorrow, yet yesterday, our words spoken in the next days. Can you see the eternity? What awaits future intensity between life, death, science, conveys decades, centuries, forever, portrays, ancestry, news spoken infinitely, as this day will be forever from now. End poem. I'm going to apologize for stepping out of the rhythm there, but I didn't quite catch it, I don't think, until that last stanza, and I really got it good then. So I know I was off rhythm in the first two. But anyway, what are your thoughts, Zach?
This is kind of this is a deep poem. This is sort of reminds me of like significance, the nature of significance, and how it exists in the past, the present, and the future for humans, and especially I think well, first it goes into memory, and how they begin significant events. We have births, weddings, how that sort of gesticulates into humans, or not humans, family and siblings, and like a family tree, and how that sort of expands, and how that sort of shapes and molds the future. I like how the speaker presents these possibilities as they are, and asks, "Can you see the future?" And I think, like, in a way, it's possible to comprehend if a certain contemplation is reached. I think like certain things. I think like it's possible, not like clairvoyance, but just like understanding possibilities of how things exist in the future, of what they could be. And these are significant things like life, death, science, extending into decades, centuries, and forever. So all the way into the future, as deep as it gets.
Well said, Zach. It's funny because this piece travels past, present, future.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, it's past, present, future, because it mentions of things as memories and remembered, and all the things, forever remembered freely. And then it goes through and it lists some of those life events that you will hold and cherish throughout your life and all that. But then the uptick at the end is ancestry, news spoken infinitely, as this day will be forever from now. Meaning, this, to me, that means I'm making memories every moment. And some of them will be spectacular and special, like from the past. So that's what I gathered out of this, and it's a beautiful piece in that respect. Got it's got depth, it's got thought, it's got emotion, it's got everything you want to read in a poem, and I very much enjoyed it. Oh, I have to step away for just a second, Zach, and get something to drink.
Oh, I'll do the same.
Yeah, so how about we just take a mute pause real quick?
Sure.
Okay, we'll be right back, guys. All right, Zach, I'm back.
All right.
You with me? It must
Yes.
be just about as far to your apple juice as it is to mine.
Just the
Okay.
yeah.
Now let's gather ourselves and see where we're at.
I believe that's Mind Child's Placement is next.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
Okay. And I'll give that a read. Placement. Works with sound the way trained hands work with truth, without urgency, without explanation, letting discipline accomplish what charm imitates. Silence is not absence for him, it is placement. He delays what others rush, until timing alters the room without asking for attention. The instrument is treated as a system, not a stage. Pressure is measured. Nothing rings longer than it deserves. Entries arrive late enough to matter. Departures are early enough to stay clean. Flexibility exists, but never without a boundary already drawn. He minimizes the work, names skill as confidence, structure as instinct. Training leaks through restraint. Transitions refuse to blur. Even improvisation moves. Inside decisions already made. When sound passes through breath, language becomes unnecessary. There is humor in refusing dramatization, a quiet laugh, when control lands too precisely. I argue with him because argument sharpens listening. We measure thought like tempo, testing which silence holds longer before collapsing into noise. With him, ornament falls away. Cleverness proves inefficient. Only air adjusted just enough to leave the day sounding cleaner than it did before. End poem.
I kind of don't know what to make of that. I don't know what it is actually. Speaking of, and I went down to the author's notes, and all it says is, "Hey, a neighbor," with 4 exclamation points. So I feel like this is a very directed piece at something. But it starts out, and I got stuck on this right from the beginning, and I started thinking, how does this work? It starts out, works with sound the way trained hands work with truth. And I thought that to me sounds like a dog. Works with sound, where you whistle and move back and forth, and herding dogs especially. Some of those things are spectacular teams. Silence is not absence for him; it is placement. So, when that was read, it reiterated that to me, because whenever the dogs hear the one whistle, they will stop and they will absolutely freeze if they're well trained until they become the next command becomes available. So that's where I went with it. And I think my thoughts of that opening stanza kind of steered me away from what the poem was what the poem is meant for. And I apologize if I got way off base in the beginning of the intent. But again, that's where it took me right out of the gate. So I was in this scene that I drew in my mind with the first stanza, and I don't know that I ever got out of it, because then I started thinking about, there was a train thought too, because it's the reference of where was it? Now I'm looking. Oh, pressure. The instrument is treated as a system, not a stage. Pressure is measured. Nothing rings longer than it deserves. The ringing of a bell while you're waiting on the platform for a train is what I thought there. Mm. So this kind of bounced me all over the place. I'll be honest with you. It did. It bounced me all over the place. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being bounced around, and my thoughts, and trying to keep up, because there was a lot of thoughts in this. With him, ornament falls away. Cleverness proves inefficient. Only air adjusted just enough to leave the day sounding cleaner than it did before. Is that an air conditioner? I mean, there's so many thoughts that I have that are not necessarily connected, but there are all sorts of thoughts. So, Zach, you read this. Please rescue me.
Oh, I was just the thing that struck me the most was how the speaker chose to play with sound and the quiet loud dynamic and tempo and rhythm, and sound is measured. And I guess I felt like this sort of this interaction going on between these two. It's like it's like a friendly sort of interaction. One of them is it's a character study, and one is essentially there's a lot of musical terminology. So I mean, you got like tempo and improvisation. So it's like they're creating their own sort of musical language together, these two. It's not necessarily like I thought it might have been like a class thing, but it's not. It seems like it's more of like a subtle interaction between two people, and a very observant sort of speaker of this person who's a listener, and like she just can't. The speaker just certain masks just don't work around him. Cleverness, for instance, like it just falls by the wayside, and what's underneath is what comes out, and that's like down to earth in a way. I like that interaction. It's there's an authenticity to it that feels real, feels lived in. I really think it's cool. I don't read poems quite like this that are that could take sort of almost I don't want to say this is an everyday interaction, but just kind of like a friendly interaction and turn it into a piece like this. I think it's really cool.
I thought so too, Zach. It felt like a jazz musician, maybe playing a solo. Where they were just all over the place doing what they wanted because the rhythm hit them and they felt it a certain way and all that, and then they said it this way and then they did it that way and
made their own decisions,
and everything just in the moment. And I appreciate that because it had a very impromptu feel to it. Oh, let's see. I think we've got Noel Nightshade. Care to read this one, Zach? My voice is...
Oh, sure. I can read this one. This one is...
Thank you.
Oh, of course. This one's entitled Degradation. Society crumbles. I silently observed. Water poisoned. Land scorched. Was it deliberate or merely a hoax? Cities overpopulated. Crime explodes. Smog in the ozone. Microplastics invisible, effectively disrupting artificial life emerges with great understanding, but unfeeling. Empathy forgotten. Business stores dusty and closed. Opportunists do as they may, believing they are clever, unwatched, but monitored, obsessed with what paper money can buy or cannot. Some sit privately amidst four walls, contemplating disasters, counting the days until there are no victims, just collapse. End poem.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So the author's notes say, I am not political. I didn't feel that piece was political. I felt it was humanitarian. So
Yeah.
I did. I felt like it was concerned for the way our world is turning, for what's going on and what could be coming in the future. And the poem titled Degradation says it all right from the beginning. It's just an elaboration on the title, and it's a well done elaboration on the title because there's so much thought to it and the different directions. Like degradation is not, a singular path. To me, it's all encompassing. So, returning to the earth, it doesn't just happen with one thing. Everything degrades, and that's what's happening here, and that's what's said in the poem. So it's very well written and very well said from that perspective, and the title lets you know where we're going. It doesn't say degradation of society, it just says degradation because it's coming from all directions. It's not just society that's degrading, it's also our lives, our standard of living, everything. We're becoming less and less attached. Some of the same things we've actually said with Charles Gradante's piece went that way. Anne's piece went that way a little bit. It's kind of funny. We kind of got on a little bit of a mini theme here. So well done, Noel. Enjoyed listening to Zach read it and me processing it. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, this was grim. This was it's like almost apocalyptic, but not quite. It's like what happens almost like right before that collapse, almost seemingly. I mean, like all these sort of warning signs. It's like things steadily degrading, and it's like that old that metaphor of like how a frog could jump into like heating up a frog in boiling water slowly they don't notice it, but like slowly but surely it's like they don't even like notice the water as it rises in temperature. And same way, humans don't notice these increasingly devastating scenarios that are happening around them. Earth essentially being degraded, Mother Nature long term. It's this is a pro-nature poem. Definitely, I didn't think it was political, but definitely humanitarian. And there's just kind of this decay to the planet. It's very evident chemically, and chemical decay, pollution, and it's kind of a moral decay too, because some humans are just after greed. They're money obsessed, and there's like there's a degradation there too, and also like as people are just isolated, they just are aware of it too and can do nothing but just wait until it happens, and that's really disquieting.
Yeah, it really is, because I appreciate the fact that she didn't just like beat the drum one direction. It was recognizing it from all directions. There were so many things happening and so many things that were shared in that piece that were very, very on point. And it did not seem political at all. It seemed more spiritual and humanitarian to me. So I appreciate that aspect of it deeply. Oh, boy, Zach. I don't know if my voice is going to hold out much longer. I don't feel sick. I just feel very, very dry because of the weather.
Well, we have about like half of the pieces for
oh yeah,
so 12 left. So
I made it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I made it to the end of this episode. So,
yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, made it, man.
That's funny.
It's good to be back.
Said, I recommend drinking some water. I just did.
Yeah.
I just did. It's funny. So speaking of Scarlett, that was a good feed in for our Poet of the Month there.
That's right.
Thanks, Scarlett. Appreciate it. Congratulations on the Poet of the Month. It went
Definitely.
very well.
Likewise, congrats.
Welcome back, Zach.
Oh, thanks. It's good to be back, man. I missed this. It really did.
I always do too. Whenever I take a little time off or, have something else to do, I always miss it. So it's good to be back where we are and do some things we're familiar with. You know what I'm saying?
Well done.
Yeah, right. I tried to sneak that one in. I figured I could get you since it's been a while.
It never gets old.
So, you know what that means, guys. This is the end. Hey, Scarlett said, good to hear you, Zach.
Oh, good to hear from you, too.
So, we'll reconvene next week, same time, same place.
Absolutely.
If everybody's okay with that, glad we're back at it, doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and I'll have this episode posted here public for the playback here very, very shortly. All right. Have a good day, everyone.